Cartoon Network 64! This is it, the peak of Cartoon Network. Codename Kids Next Door is my favorite show of all time, at least in terms of a show no longer making any new episodes. I do love SpongeBob and Family Guy more, but they're still making new episodes. In terms of a cartoon from start to finish, Kids Next Door is the best. I am definitely going to be making more Kids Next Door videos in the future, because I don't have all the time to talk about everything about this show that I want to do in this Cartoon Network 64 episode. So if I miss some stuff out, just know that I'll talk about it in a future date. I guess for now, we should talk about what this show is. Kids Next Door is a show that stars kids, like a secret organization of them. Their goal is to stop the evil tyranny of adults, and on occasion, teenagers. But once you turn 13, you can no longer be part of the KND. Your memory gets wiped of it, your booger even gets removed from the system, which is sad. Luckily, every kid gets to be part of an assigned group that helps with other kids, and you get to make friends through it. And they all get together in treehouses all over the earth. So how do the parents respond to things like this? Oh, they're like, whatever, they're just hanging out with their friends. It's kind of funny to me how the adults don't even care that their kids are part of a secret organization. The kids next door do their own spellings for many words. Like, for example, instead of number, they spell and say as number. Candy and ice cream are amazing, and broccoli and Brussels sprouts are the worst. Which is ironic since I loved those vegetables as an adult, but I hated them when I was a kid. Although, yes, I am aware that even in this show, the adults too hate broccoli. There was even this card thing on Kids Next Door that you could do online, and I wish I was around to do that, but no, I was more into Foster's games, because we all know that Foster's has aged so well. I love a lot of this show's gimmicks. You even get them with the title of each episode. Every episode title is actually an acronym for something. Like, for example, the episode PIRATE isn't just pirate and that's it. It actually stands for Pirates Invade Repository and Treats Extracted. It's the little details like that that just show that this show wasn't afraid of going the extra mile. And it's not just the titles. Several inventions on the show do this as well.
Next door, Stank, super transforming armored neighborhood cruiser.
It's been proven by the show that Kooky is the one that comes up with all the acronyms, which is a nice Easter egg.
What kind of acronym is that? Well, if you weren't in such a rush, maybe I could have come up with a better one.
And it doesn't stop there. Many of the kids can make crazy inventions. Look at all this shit.
Behold, the central power core, the most massive power source in the world, generated by thousands upon thousands of scurrying hamsters. You go over there, that's right now. We have immediately set off in our snow sub to rendezvous with Kids Next Door Arctic Operative number 30C. Want your butts kicked? You know where to find the kids next door.
That's a good one, baby.
They all make things at a young age. Think like Emmett from the Lego movie, but had the supervillain skills for an entire show and at a young age. I mean, every member of the Kids Next Door is anywhere from 5 to 13 years old, and yet they're more intelligent than our current leaders. Try to guess where their main base is. You'd think since they use treehouses that they would pick a forest, right? Nope, it's the moon. The moon is where their headquarters are. And that's not the only extreme place. Antarctica is where they imprison all the terrible adults, and sometimes teenagers. And no one ever escapes, except for the episode Mission where number 4 takes 4 villains from the Arctic prison just so that he could have them beat his dad in a bowling tournament so that he wouldn't have to polish his dad's trophy. This show was a very big game changer, especially for Western cartoons as a whole. You see, this may sound weird here now in 2021, but there was once a time where a cartoon couldn't really have continuity. This wasn't just a Cartoon Network thing, it was on all 3 of the big networks. Nickelodeon, Cartoon Network, and Disney all had this issue. Basically, every network followed the status quo is God. What happened in one episode wouldn't carry over to the next, with the exception of maybe a moral or a new character introduction. But otherwise, you could watch any episode in any order and you would never be lost. Why did networks do this? Well, I can't give a full answer to that, but what I can do is point to the Angry Beavers for the best answer.
This is what really happens when that stuff happens to real people.
Turn it off, Norby! For the love of Todd, turn it off!
From Nickelodeon at least, they couldn't have a cartoon A, break the fourth wall, and B, have the show state it's the final episode. It's so that way kids could want a show to continue for years and years, even if it already technically ended, and not have a satisfying conclusion, which is very stupid, and every network followed this in the 90s. In hindsight, I have no idea why people call the 90s the best decade of animation, because listening to all of these restraints, it makes me wonder if there were shows holding back. While there were many good shows from the 90s, I feel like we needed less network interference. Then again, the 2000s and 2010s can't really top that. In fact, if anything, they got worse network interferences in different areas. And Kids Next Door has a major problem with that, but we'll save that discussion for the end of this video. Kids Next Door was the first Western cartoon to not be episodic, because you have to remember, reality is not episodic. We change every single day, make new friends, lose friends, interests can flip on a dime. Animation didn't really seem to take this in effect, and that's where the Kids Next Door broke the mold. People usually point to Avatar or Danny Phantom or even the original Teen Titans as the pioneers for this, but nope, Kids Next Door came out even before those three. And it's actual good story continuity. To give a good example off the top of my head, Cree in the episode Kiss gets arrested by the Kids Next Door when she was dating an older Tommy who turned himself into a teenager. Then the episode Space has Cree coming back for revenge to stop the Kids Next Door, where she explains her plan on how she's gonna blow up the moon base. And then in the episode End, number 274 tries to send the moon base into the sun. He did this after tricking number 86 in Sector V that Sector V all became 13. When in reality, it was 274 that was turned 13. All those episodes that I just mentioned are in chronological order. And not only that, they all are just in Season 2. And the continuity can even be the smallest nods. The episode Pool has number 4's pool filled with sand at the end to prevent the negative number operatives from ever coming to their world again. And you can see the sand-filled pool again back in Mission. We have many shows nowadays with every episode continuing from the next. We even have a name for this called Netflix binging, but no one ever did this before Kids Next Door. This is a show where character is at its best. With the exception of one character that we'll talk about later, there's not a single character on this show that I hate. I guess to keep things simple, we'll go in number order. Get it, guys? Because I said a number order. It said number, I said number. Number 1, aka Nigel Uno, is the leader of the group. I do like how he has a British accent, something that I never really caught on as a kid. He is British, how in one episode he goes to his homeland in England. Number 2, aka Hoagie Gilligan Jr., is quirky and funny. He can make crazy and genius inventions while making puns all the while, making the best 2x4 technology from Sector V.
You're as good as canned.
A bonus fact for number 2, and by extension number 1, is that they both have the same voice actor, Ben Diskin. And I can definitely at times hear number 1 through number 2.
That's right! I have defeated that pathetic pile of Parmesan! Number 2 will be the most powerful cheese shogun ever!
I think Hoagie's best usage is when either he acts like a detective or hangs around number 4. That's usually where his best humor comes in, because he bounces off number 4 perfectly. My favorite character of the show is number 3, Kuki Sanban. She's just so fun and cute, and she just might be my favorite Cartoon Network character. Her voice is a delight. That's Lauren Tom doing the voice. You might also remember her as Amy in Futurama. She can also get angry fast, and in terms of cute characters going angry, number 3 did it way better than Bubbles from the Powerpuff Girls. Cause number 3 can actually be good scary. Number 4, A.K. Wally, is stupid. But he's the funniest stupid out there. He's not so much the guy that will get other people killed, but rather he will get himself hurt and not anyone else. He's a bit of a sexist person, but luckily it doesn't go too far. The only time that it did was Operation Future, but it worked because not only did he learn a lesson about it, but the girls in question were much worse than Wally himself. But seriously, this guy is so stupid. Just have you seen him in the spelling episode? He thought that the word hat had a Q in it.
And for your information, the number 4 is spelled with a Q in Australia.
I am telling you, the word chicken does not have a 2 in it.
Well, it does now.
That ain't the way you spell the word hat.
And finally, to round out our main characters, we have number 5, aka Abigail. And this is my personal favorite Cree Summer voice. It's usually the one that I recognize the most. With her sassiness and the have a tone. Oh, that reminds me, Abby's dad is Bill Cosby.
It seems like only yesterday she was a little girl, and now look at her with her brand new training bra. But she's still asleep, so keep it down with the yelling and the shooting and the goulash.
Stupid dad with the big mouth and the embarrassing and the pulling it out for the neighbors.
Okay, it's technically not him, but it's a parody of Bill Cosby. And let's just say that joke is now dated. Abby is definitely smarter than everyone else, and often when Nigel isn't the leader, she's a good replacement. There's one episode where it's proven that she would do anything for the kids next door, as she doesn't have the best home life as many episodes have proven. A little interesting fact about all 5 members of Sector V is that they're all different nationalities. A lot of pieces of media in today's world try to be diverse or try to claim equality, and they will often fail at it. Because instead of trying to focus on writing a good story, they focus on being diverse and nothing else. Kids Next Door is the best at this because not only is it diverse, but it doesn't derail the plot. The plot stays focused. It's not like they never mention their nationalities. Number 3 in one episode goes visit her homeland of Japan since she's Japanese.
Look out! A panda! My oopsie! That was just a shadow. Can I drive now?
Okay.
These are all things that I didn't realize until my adult years. I mean, I knew as a kid that Abigail was black, but I thought that everyone else was, like, white. Number 1 is British, number 2 is German, and number 4 is Australian. Now time for the villains. Now, unlike something like Powerpuff Girls where the villains are the best part and only good part of the show, this time both the heroes and the villains are equally as good. And my god, these villains. These are some of the best villains in animation. My Little Pony and Steven Universe wish that they could have villains this good. And easily the best thing about all of them is their incredible voice acting. The most notable example is Mark Hamill doing Sticky Beard. And every time that I state that Luke Skywalker himself was the candy pirate for Kids Next Door, people think that I'm joking. They get shocked when they hear that answer. Hell, I was shocked when I first heard this because it does not sound anything like Mark Hamill's usual performance.
It's not true. That's impossible.
Prepare for a loud, noisy battle to the... Sugar me gumdrops! Is that skunky scout candy I spy?
The Cheese Shogun has an entire base made of cheese, calling himself Master of Mozzarella. Mr. Boss is amazing. I love how he's number 4's dad's boss, even though number 4's dad is not evil in the slightest. Although also I think number 3's mom is also his boss. Toyinator I feel so bad for. He's literally a joke amongst the kids next door, teens, and even adults. But he's always a funny joke to me, even funnier than something like the Box Ghost from Danny Phantom. And who can forget the delightful children from down the lane? They are the perfect antagonists for the kids next door. Despite being children, they hate children. They're always nothing more than snobbish goody two-shoes that suck up to adults. Every birthday of theirs, they would show all the kids their cake, but no one would be allowed a slice. Instead, they'd be forced to just watch them eat the cake. But luckily, the kids next door usually stop them, then the kids have cake. Except for that one time when there was like chickens that shitted on the cake. Although the delightful children still ate the cake. It's good gross out humor. It's also interesting that both the first and final episodes of Kids Next Door are about the delightful children having a birthday. There are a lot of villains in this show, so I can't name them all right now, but here's some quick ones. Soccer Mom, Count Spankula, and the Mucus Guy. I'll be honest, they're probably more of the average villains. I wouldn't say I was a big fan of them, but they are alright. But the best villain of the show is Father. Father is the main antagonist of the show. The best part about him is his voice. That's Maurice LaMarche, and this is my favorite role of his. Yes, even more than Brain from Pinky and the Brain. It seems to be based off Kirk Douglas where he would speak softly before screaming. In fact, an episode of Animaniacs called Hooked on a Ceiling has LaMarche voice a character that almost sounds exactly like him.
Out! Out, you incompetent fools! You call yourselves artists?
And you can hear it in the Kids Next Door as well.
Destroy the kids next door, or else!
And I guess I can include the other side characters. Tommy is number 2's younger brother. He's alright. I never really was annoyed by him, but at the same time, I wasn't really invested in his plots either. Except for the episode where he battles father in the Arctic where Tommy is trained to be a Kids Next Door member. When he becomes a Kids Next Door member, I'm shocked that people are surprised that he calls himself number T. You literally have a member called number 74.239, who I have personal problems with, not because of his number, but for other reasons that we'll talk about later. Cookie's little sister Mushi is the obvious Tara Strong role. I can tell that voice anywhere. She's kind of a villain, but for only like 2 or 3 episodes. Though she does help Abigail out in the episode Space.
Oh, the sisters, they always fall for that teary junk. Must be hormones or something.
As for the one character that I hate, it's Lizzie. Fuck Lizzie! I never got her shtick. She's not funny, she's annoying. I have no idea why Nigel likes her.
We'll see who's going out. Mission my butt! I saw him with another girl! And when I get my hands on those two, I said open this door now!
She's the most annoying Grey Griffin role that I have ever heard. And that's even taking the Loud House into account. My least favorite episode of the show is Lunch because it's another episode of Lizzie being annoying.
Nachi and I are having lunch together today!
But for some reason, they make her the hero. Another annoying thing about that episode is that its sister episode that comes right after it is my favorite episode of the whole series, Munchies. Don't you hate it when you see a really bad 11-minute TV episode, and then it's immediately followed by a really good 11-minute TV episode, yet you're still too sour for the previous experience to enjoy the next one? Real quick for Munchies. One thing that I love that this show does is when the heroes and villains team up. They do this in like 3 or 5 episodes, but this is the best one. The first 10 minutes is about the kids next door and the adults all fighting over a Rainbow Monkey cereal box. And then it ends with Nightbrace buying the box himself. But when he states that he's not gonna eat and rather destroy it, everyone beats him up. And then everyone at the end is having a great time eating breakfast, and Nightbrace is just in the fridge. Best episode of the whole show. Back to Lizzie. Ugh. There's an episode where she dumps Nigel. I get Nigel would feel sad a little bit. Actually, no, I don't. Considering how horrible she treats Nigel, I don't get why anyone would like her. It's like if Rapunzel felt bad for Cassandra. Oh wait, that happened. Although, if Lizzie could have become part of the kids next door, maybe she could have been fixed a little bit. For some reason, they don't have her become part of the kids next door. I have no idea why. She's not too over it, so she can still join. Was Sector V not allowed to have a 6th member? She acts so inhuman. It's like she's not even from this world.
Treatments of galactic ancient-based
Oh, for the love of... Now my human disguise is acting up! Who was running the tech department while I was on Earth? Number moron?
Oh shit! That explains a lot. Before we talk about that, I have a little present for y'all. Someone asked me to put up their mini review in this Cartoon Network 64 episode. So if you guys please, for the next 1 minute, listen to Jack Valjack. He wanted me to give his opinions on this show real quick. And I promised that I would allow it a while back. And to make sure that I don't end up in hot water like Nigel was with Lizzie, I'll show the mini review. And I don't back out on promises.
Hello there, I am Jack Valjack, and thanks for having me on here, Rebecca. Here's why I consider Codename Kids Next Door to be my favorite cartoon of all time. The excellent character dynamics between the casts, as well as the creativity. It is by far the most creative show I've ever seen, and it feels like it should be one of the first cartoons ever made. It delves perfectly into the child psyche with childish things for the villains, like a candy-obsessed pirate or an evil dentist. It's like it knows what children know. And the creativity in the show is pure excellency. The way they designed all the weapons to be based off of household items is pure and utter brilliance. And other stuff like the writing, the character dynamics, and the creativity are the main driving force beyond the show. Thanks for having me on here, Rebecca.
I suppose since we're nearing the end of this review, we need to talk about Galactic Kids Next Door, and why I'm not a big fan of the series finale. It's got two major problems. One is that it's too weird for my taste, and this is coming from someone that loves the weird. I mean, the Patrick Star Show and new SpongeBob are weird, and that's kind of the weird stuff that I love. Not this kind of weird. I mean, the series finale to Kids Next Door is just a scavenger hunt, which isn't really the best thing that you could do for a series finale, let alone all these random pairings. Like, they just brought back characters back to find stuff, and mixed them up. It's like modern Simpsons in a way, pairing up characters that just have no chemistry with each other. And the second biggest problem with this series finale is that it's a cliffhanger. Not only is it a cliffhanger, but it feels similar to a Samurai Jack cliffhanger. Remember how in Samurai Jack there was an episode that was going to state how Samurai Jack was going to end?
Can't use it yet, Samurai Jack. Not yet. Not yet.
And then Season 5 completely contradicted this? Well, I can't directly answer for Kids Next Door, but it feels like they were doing two different things when they saw Nigel being part of the Galactic Kids Next Door. And the live action ending on number 5 saying,
Oh, and number 1, welcome back.
So why was Kids Next Door not allowed to get a spin-off, yet every other Cartoon Network show is allowed? Oh, simple, because Cartoon Network said no. What? You want me to give you a bigger answer? That's the only one that I got. But I suppose if you want me to give a little bit of a more in-depth answer, it's because Kids Next Door wasn't totally profitable, which is stupid for two reasons. Number 1, there were toys of Kids Next Door, and number 2, Cartoon Network isn't mainly a toy company. It is an animation company. It's called Cartoon Network. It's about cartoons. Who's running this network? Number moron?
Tell me about it.
There's no reason for this show to have a cliffhanger. Number 74.239 is revealed in the animatic to be some kind of space alien, i.e. part of the Kids Next Door on another planet.
Wait, oh, for the love of... I can never figure out the privacy features on these interplanetary conference calls. God, and now my human disguise is acting up.
It really is sad that Cartoon Network won't finish this, but I wouldn't give up hope just yet on this. Tom Warburton, the creator of Kids Next Door, is still ambitious to work on this project, and while he sadly doesn't own the copyright to this, he has teased about this in the past. And Cartoon Network recently has been happy with doing reboots and spin-offs. I mean, if they're gonna do the Powerpuff Girls, I think they could do anything. Remember how, like in 2015, Cartoon Network said no to this show, yet they said yes to Powerpuff Girls 2016, even though Craig McCracken had nothing to do with it and didn't want it? Ah, the joys of Cartoon Network. Back to Cartoon Network spin-offs as a whole. With how popular Season 5 Samurai Jack was on Adult Swim, there's no stopping Kids Next Door getting the same treatment. Samurai Jack had a 13-year hiatus from Season 4 to Season 5, and as of right now, Kids Next Door is pretty much that. Now at its 13th year in hiatus, next month will be 14 years. There's also this. I don't know if this is trolling, but it does seem like a clue. And I need to start wrapping this up. This script is 9 pages long. And the max limit, like I said, for this is 25 minutes. So I definitely will make more videos on Kids Next Door in the future. There is just a lot about this show that I want to talk about. And obviously I didn't want to give the spoilers out in this review, because I want this to be a general review for general audiences to go into, not to spoil everything. Because it really does mean a lot to me. It is my favorite show of all time. Thank you all for watching. Masterpiece is the editor, Jack was the quick guest star, and here are my Patreon supporters. Have a Merry Christmas, and on Christmas Day, around 8 o'clock hopefully, we should be airing the Pixar Path on Up, and with that, that will be the final video for the year. I will see you all then. StarGiantProductions, out.